emails, I understand, Epstein said he could offer, and I quote, insight on Donald Trump to Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister. This is all of the ingredients of classic compromat. And it cannot, consideration of these issues, cannot be deprived of this House in the case of the Mandelson papers. And I will happily give way to my right honourable.
Julian Lewis.
It has been for years a matter of mystery and speculation where Epstein acquired his vast wealth. Does my right honourable friend think that the Russian connection may provide the definitive answer to that mystery?
Very good.
My right honourable friend is quite right that this is exactly one of the issues that must now be investigated, and investigated very seriously, not just by this government, but by our allies in other jurisdictions. Because whilst we don't yet know for certain where the money came, how the money came to Epstein, we do now know where some of it went. And understanding its ultimate source will help us construct a picture of this very complex and devious web.
Will my honourable friend give way?
I will give way to my right honourable friend.
Oliver Dowden.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way, and I think at the heart of what we're talking about here is, do we accept this amendment from the government opposite about national security and international relations? And he and I have both served in the Cabinet Office, and I'm sure he shares my sympathy with the need to protect national security. But there is a vast difference between protecting national security, for example, in direct intelligence reports from agents on the ground or intercept, and subjective judgments made about things that may embarrass national security or may embarrass international relations. And that's why the Leader of the Opposition was precisely correct to say we need some independent mechanism. So why on earth can't we agree that the ISC should look at each of these exemptions, and if they feel it passes that threshold, fine, we'll accept it because we need to protect national security, but it can't be to spare the party opposite's blushes.
Well, my right honourable friend, who was Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster and who knows more about national security than almost anyone in this House, is absolutely right. Because what is happening here is that the government's judgment and its behaviour is what is under investigation. It cannot be the case that the government can then decide what is disclosed. Fortunately for the House, there are mechanisms available to us, not least the ISC, which would do a very good job on behalf of the government of working with them to decide what information could and couldn't be released. But I must say, on the issue of humble address, built into the humble address mechanism itself is an understanding that national security is protected. There is no need for this amendment. I promise to give way to my old adversary from Islington North first, and then I will happily give way to the Honourable.
Jeremy Corbett. I thank the right honourable member for giving way, and I compliment him on the content of the speech he's made so far. This inquiry will have massive ramifications. It's an inquiry into the gilded circle surrounding Mandelson, which extends very broadly around this House and the civil service, business community, media and internationally. Isn't it time we had a novel form of inquiry which is not undertaken solely by Parliament or the civil service, but a much broader, more public inquiry which can look into the whole issue, because this is a basic corruption of our political system that we're looking at in the behaviour of Peter Mandelson.
Alex Barker.
Well, the right honourable gentleman appears to be correct in that there is certainly an indication that serious corruption may have taken place. And in the light of that, the House must consider very closely what the best means of getting to the bottom of all of these relationships and all of these influences will be. I promise to give way to the honourable lady.
Member for giving away, and I think the House is getting a lesson that many families in Northern Ireland have had for decades, families like that of Sean Brown and the victims of steak knife, that national security is routinely deployed to cover the blushes of the UK government. I appreciate that the member is now arriving at this point, and would he support a wider review of his party and the government's application of national security to all sorts of disclosure cases?
Alex Barker.
Well, I think, without wishing to be distracted from the motion, at play. I've actually seen Secretaries of State for Northern Ireland of all parties of successive governments try very hard to ensure that there is maximum disclosure for the people of Northern Ireland whilst ensuring that national security is not compromised. So I'm afraid I see things through a slightly different prism to her. I'll give way one more time and then I intend to make some progress.
I thank the right honourable gentleman for giving way, Mr Speaker. There is a well-worn route for dealing with these matters through humble addresses and otherwise, but previous humble addresses, when the party of government was in opposition, would name sometimes a select committee, and I was on the receiving end of that as then chair of the Public Accounts Committee. I just genuinely want to ask the honourable gentleman why the government, the opposition, did not put in the humble address that this should go to a select committee, because I still think there are ways to use the select committee corridor in order to scrutinise anything that may be more sensitive than can go into the main public domain.
Please,
I'm very glad that the honourable lady agrees with us that the ISC should be used in this context. I'm very glad that there is agreement with, between her and me that the front bench should be using the ISC in order to act in this way. And I hope that other members opposite will take the same view as this extremely experienced parliamentarian. I will give way one more time.
Jeremy Wright. I'm extremely grateful to my honourable friend. Since he mentions the Intelligence and Security Committee, of which I'm a member, can I put to him this? The purpose of the ISC is not to act as some filter to decide what should go to the rest of Parliament. It's to act on behalf of Parliament, to consider material that Parliament, for good reason, cannot see. This is a motion about whether or not the government should disclose all the relevant material to Parliament. In this context, isn't it a perfectly usable and familiar mechanism for Parliament to use in circumstances such as this, for the government to disclose anything it does not believe the whole chamber can see to the Intelligence and Security Committee?
My right honourable friend speaks from a position of experience, and he's entirely right. This is the House is very fortunate to have the ISC, and this is one of the functions that it can perform. The government can have reassurance on national security, and the House can have reassurance that no material is being kept from it that the government might find embarrassing. And so I ask, in his remarks, I asked the Paymaster General, who I know will have had nothing to do with this, and I know is a man of integrity, to think very seriously about the options of gisting, the role that ISC can play in that, and make sure that the government is not marking its own homework, because it's very important that our constituents and this House have confidence in what the government provides us. And now move on briefly, Mr. Speaker, before I hand over to other members of the House, to the conduct of Lord Mandelson whilst he was our ambassador in Washington. And I think that this is very relevant for our debate today, because it exposes again the Prime Minister's lack of judgment in appointing Peter Mandelson as our ambassador. There is obviously now very strong evidence to suggest that Mandelson behaved entirely inappropriately when he was a Secretary of State in the last Labour government. But there are now equally big questions outstanding about what was happening in 2025 in Washington. And this, as I say, is relevant now. On the 27th of February 2025, the Prime Minister, whilst in Washington, visited the American data and AI company Palantir at its headquarters. The meeting did not appear in the Prime Minister's register of visits. It only came to light later. Now, Palantir, we should remember or remind ourselves, was a client of Global Counsel, the company in which Peter Mandelson had a commanding share. Later that year, Palantir received from this government a £240 million deal.
British companies couldn't compete.
That deal was granted by direct award. Given the allegations now coming to light about Mandelson's conduct, can the Minister assure the House that the Cabinet Secretary will review the circumstances around the award of that contract and assure himself that there are no other such contracts, no other undisclosed meetings, that the government is going to go through all of the communications that Mandelson sent out whilst he was ambassador, messages we must assume, some of which were sent to old business contacts, potential few business contacts, and so on. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister knew that Peter Mandelson had maintained an unhealthy relationship with a man who was a convicted paedophile, and he appointed him to the role of ambassador anyway. Everybody in this House should be shocked by it. It must be concluded that had the Prime Minister been pressed on that point at the time, the appointment would not have been made. But the Prime Minister knew, his aides knew, and the appointment was made anyway. What else did he know? Only after this humble address, only if the government treats with it in good faith, will we know that. I very much hope that it is not the case that we find that there are gaps in our security and vetting process. If there are, the government will be able to fix them. But I think it's also likely that we'll see that there were reports that consistently raised concerns that were swept away. And it will then be the duty of the government to disclose who swept them away and why. Ultimate responsibility must rest with the Prime Minister. It is time for him to take responsibility.
I call the Minister to move the amendment. Nick Thomas-Symonds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I beg to move the amended motion in the name of the Prime Minister, my name, and indeed the names of right honourable friends. Now, Mr. Speaker, members will be aware that the government came to the House Monday for an update following the release of 3 million pages of documents by the US Department of Justice regarding Jeffrey Epstein. As the government said Monday, and I reiterate now, Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted paedophile and a despicable individual who revelled in abusing the vulnerable and destroyed the lives of countless women and girls. I will give way. I'll complete my introductory remarks, then I will give way to the honourable gentleman. What he did was unforgivable. Every time his crimes are in the public eye, victims must relive their trauma. And his victims are at the forefront of my mind, and I'm sure they're at the forefront of all honourable and right honourable gentlemen and ladies' minds in this debate. As the Prime Minister has said, anyone with relevant information must come forward and cooperate with investigations so Jeffrey Epstein's victims can get the justice they've been denied for so long. As for Peter Mandelson, his decision to maintain a close relationship with a convicted paedophile, including discussing private government business, isn't just wrong, it is abhorrent. I did promise to give way.
Stephen Flynn.
I thank the Minister for giving way. I am, however, curious. Earlier we heard the Prime Minister state that he knew that Peter Mandelson had maintained a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Did the Minister also know? And if so, did he express any concerns to the Prime Minister at that time about his decision to appoint Peter Mandelson as Ambassador to the United States of America?
So, Mr. Speaker, on the second point, I played no personal role in the appointment process, but as the Prime Minister said, the depth and extent of Peter Mandelson's relationship was not known at the time of his appointment. As soon as that came to light, the Prime Minister acted decisively and sacked Peter Mandelson. I'll give way.
I thank the Minister for giving way. And given the public disgust and the sickening behaviour of Peter Mandelson and the importance of transparency, in 2022 I proposed a humble address seeking information about PPE, which the party opposite resisted, and my honourable friend, the member for Hackney South, mentioned just before. Should we not have the ISC not have the same role now in keeping public confidence in the process?
Minister.
I'll pick up this point, Mr. Speaker, because I know a number of honourable and right honourable members have raised this. I think, in the first instance, let me say that this process now is going to be conducted and led by the Cabinet Secretary, unimpeachable integrity. And, I mean, the right honourable gentleman shouts cover-up at the Cabinet Secretary. You really should consider that remark, I think. But secondly, it will be conducted by Cabinet Office lawyers. Now, the House is asking, quite fairly, A broader question, as is my right honourable friend, about scrutiny. There's a role as the chair of the Public Accounts Committee. Around House Select Committee scrutinised this. There's existing powers for the ISC in terms of scrutinising this. I am hearing what the House is saying, and I will take that point away. I'll take one more intervention, and I'll come to the right, and then I have to make some progress.
Well, friend, can I say it's disappointing that neither the opposition or the government had a reference to the important role that the ISC could have in this basis. Can I say to him, as a member of the Intelligence Security Committee, I've also spoken to the Chair, the Lord Beamish, and we've heard from the Deputy Chair before, that we feel the Intelligence Security should be involved in this and help this process, not on behalf of Parliament. So I would urge my right honourable friend to speak to Number 10 to ensure that we get that and that happens quickly.
Minister. I think I've already said I'll take the point away. I think he knows from our personal dealings on a different matter my respect to the Intelligence and Security Committee and its work. I'll give way to the former Deputy Prime Minister, then I'll have to make some progress.
Thank you. I thank the Minister for giving way. The point here is not about impugning the integrity of the Cabinet Secretary. The point here is about confidence in this House. And I think the temperature in the House seems to be that most people feel that involving the ISC will give both this House and, more importantly, the public confidence about this process. Now, it sounds as if the Minister is sympathetic to this point. Can he just confirm that he is sympathetic at that point and he will be making the case to Downing Street for this tweak?
Minister. Mr. Speaker, I wasn't accusing the right honourable gentleman of impugning the Cabinet Secretary. The point I was making was that the process is being official-led and indeed then being decided upon by Cabinet Office lawyers. The broader point that the House is making, I can do no more than say I hear what he's saying, and I will take that point away. But can I just come back? I'll give way once more to the chair pack-up, but I really must make some progress.
I'm grateful to the Minister, and he knows that this House knows that he's a honourable gentleman in every sense of that term. Right. But the mood of the House is very clear, and my right honourable and learned friend has set out, as have others, the role of the ISC and the expectation that it discharges these serious and sensitive matters on behalf of the House, and that the government has confidence. During the course of this debate, can I invite him to go back to Number 10 and to take advice and to not move his amendment this afternoon? I think that would reflect the will of the House and would allow people to start moving these issues forward. To move it today would, I would suggest, be a retrograde step for the government and its reputation.
Minister. On the first point, as I said to the former Deputy Prime Minister, I'll take the point away. But where I disagree with the right honourable gentleman, and I'll come back to it in a moment, is the importance of the amendment, because there are really important public policy issues I want to deal with in respect of that. But let me just return to the thrust of my... I will give way in a moment. No government minister, let's be clear, of any political party should have behaved in the way Peter Mandelson did, and it was absolutely disgraceful. The alleged leaking of crucial documents to help millionaires profit in the middle of the global crash. Lying to contemporaries, lying to the Prime Minister, lying to the public is both shameful and shameless. So let me just finish this point before I will take some more interventions in a moment. Peter Mandelson will now account for his actions and conduct. That is why the Cabinet Office has referred this matter to the police. And Mr. Speaker, the Metropolitan Police have released a statement confirming, and I quote, that they have received a number of reports into alleged misconduct in public office, including a referral from the UK government. And the statement also confirmed that the Metropolitan Police have started a criminal investigation in relation to potential misconduct in public office offences, and that the police will, I quote, continue to assess all relevant information brought to our attention as part of this investigation and won't be commenting any further at this time. Now, the House will understand that on that particular development, it would not be appropriate for me to comment further, but I'll take one intervention.
Order. We're getting very carried away about the way the Metropolitan Police has been thrown around. I meant to have been contacted. I have not been contacted, neither the House. The House will understand that I am not responsible for the Minister, for the ministerial answers. Let's just put that on the record and let's see if we can tie this up a little bit. For the avoidance of doubt, as I stand, there is an ongoing police investigation into this case. However, no charges have been brought. The House sub judice resolution does not apply. In the context, it is up to the ministers how they reply, but the House rules do not prevent them from answering fully. So please, let's not hide behind that something's not factual. So let's get this on the record. And I still haven't had the phone call.
Could I just say, in respect of that, Mr. Speaker, I hear precisely what you say, and I entirely accept that interpretation of the sub judice rules. I'm certainly not hiding behind it, and indeed I will come to some remarks about this in a moment.
Maybe I can help a little bit. But I think the answer was that we can't do this because there's a police investigation. And I think we've got to recognise that is not a reason. So please, let's not play off each other. I've made my point from the chair.
Completely accept that, Mr. Speaker. I'll take one intervention here, then I'll take one over here.
Chris Vince. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I made this point on Monday, but I think it's really, really important to make again. The vast majority of members in this House and the other House come here to represent our constituencies. And I think people across the House would recognise I do my best to represent Harlow as much as I possibly can. Would Harlow, Mr. Speaker, would the Secretary of State agree with me that the reason the case of Peter Mandelson is so damning and upsets so many people across this House is clearly this individual, when he was in this place, and potentially when he was in this place, but certainly when he was in the other place, was not representing the people he was supposed to be representing, but representing instead a vile paedophile. So would he agree with me that the reason strength is so strong across the House is because actually he's letting down all of us?
Minister. Yes, and the public rightly demands the highest standards from those in office. They demand the highest standards from ministers. We should be held to the highest standards, and my honourable friend's absolutely right. Peter Mandelson fell far, far short of those standards. His behaviour has been revealed to be appalling, and as the Prime Minister has said, we will not...
Order. Please. The Minister is giving way, he will give way, but you can't stay on your feet all shouting, give way, give way. Please, let's give the Minister some time, and he will take you when he feels in the mood to take you. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll take the honourable member for Bromsgrove, and then I will take an intervention.
I thank the Minister for giving way. Given that at the point immediately prior to Peter Mandelson's appointment as ambassador, the UK had a respected ambassador already in the United States, and Dame Karen Pierce, why it was that the government decided, given the known abhorrence of both Jeffrey Epstein and the appalling previous judgment of Peter Mandelson, the government still decided that on balance it was a risk worth taking to appoint paedophile adjacent Peter Mandelson to the post of ambassador.
Well, first of all, Mr. Speaker, can I pay tribute to Dame Karen Pierce, who I think represents the finest of our foreign service. Secondly, governments do make political appointments to these posts. That's happened. That is long-standing practice to a small number of posts. And the Prime Minister has already said if he knew then what he knew now, Peter Mandelson wouldn't have been anywhere near the government. I will give way to the Chair of Packer, then I will give way to my own friend.
Dame Hillier.
No longer Chair of the Public Accounts Committee, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it seems that we are in something of a muddle here. Had the opposition named the ISC in the humble address, as in the past committees, then there would have been no debate in this House. But would the Minister agree that to put all information openly in the public domain could have risks, but there are well-worn filters through Parliament, through the Select Committee corridor, and there are various committees that could have locus in this space, to properly and sensitively handle information which has, in my time, never leaked from a committee, in order to make sure that we